Ask Reddit by suck entities. What is a cult that pretends it's not cult? Deleted. My sister used to work in a hotel here in the Netherlands where they held these events. They would stand there silently staring at random statues in the hotel for a long time. The troubled teen industry, youth residential therapy programs that are underregulated and rampant with abuse, SAR, and children's deaths. Edit. The earlier programs were closely based off the teachings of a cult called Synanon. Not every program open right now is a cult itself, but their history is abusive and most programs do significantly more harm than good. As a survivor of these, some are worse than others. My experience is nothing like the horror stories of Elan or Provo Canyon, but even the good ones use textbook methods of psychological coercion to force you to change and do what they say. For anyone who isn't informed, our Troubled Teens is a great resource for any survivors, or anyone who just wants to learn what it's actually like to talk about their experiences in a safe environment where nobody is going to invalidate you or claim you don't understand. Southern Pentecostal Baptist snake handlers. Grew up going to one of these churches. Long drive to a small church hidden in the woods. They honestly believed only their members were gonna make it to heaven. We saw some crazy stuff in that building. Grew up near one of those in Georgia without realizing it. Crazy stuff. The Herbalife Company. Despite being accused of being a pyramid scheme, they continue to function similarly. There are some people from my childhood who became addicted to it, and they act very much like members of a cult. Back in college, me and a buddy were invited to a pitch meeting. We decided to check it out despite both knowing it was a scam. We figured if we could waste their time with us, they couldn't scam someone else. At one point in the salesman's pitch, he said we could both be driving a Ferrari by 6 months. I asked if he could take us a drive in his. The backpedaling about why he doesn't have one yet was hilarious. A lot of my friends and family tell me I'm unknowingly in the cult of Jeep owners. I mean, it's a Jeep thing they wouldn't understand. My car breaks down so much, sometimes I feel like a Jeep owner. The Duggar family. I saw a Sun article at the supermarket that read, which Duggars are the Beyonce and Amp, JZ of the family? None of them. Scientology. They bought out the cult awareness network so they wouldn't be on the list. Yesterday, I actually observed a job posting that stated don't bother applying if receiving money is your main motivation. Here, we live like a family. One of the most degrading things I've ever read was that. Just to be clear, this job was compensated. They simply stated that they wouldn't be paying you much, I presume. Oh, that's such a relief. I need a new place to stay. And when's dinner? Every cult denies they're a cult. Are there cults that are like, yeah, legit we're a cult, but hear me out? CrossFit. The first rule of CrossFit is that you must talk about CrossFit. MLMs, particularly Mary Kay. I once attended a convention as a consultant's guest in an effort to persuade me to go. Very step forward like. She also failed to inform me that you were supposed to dress up, so I arrived in jeans and a hoodie. I filled in for the receptionist at a Cadillac dealership once. It happened to be the day of a pink car ceremony, which is when a Mary Kay consultant gets the keys to a pink XT5. The consultant and their team have to make $100K in sales in a year to get that car. Oh, and they don't immediately own it outright. https://www.mentalfloss.com/article/shade003//story-behind-mary-k-pink-cadillac. Picture a crying middle-aged lady sitting on the hood of a $50K car while about 10 of her friends, half of them also crying and all of them emotional, take photos and video. 7 of them walked up to the reception desk and tried to recruit me, and most of the women who worked in the dealership. Texas A&M, My mom likes to tell the story about when I visited there as a high school senior. It was a one-night sleepover tour. I hated it. When she came to pick me up the following day, I was waiting at the curb, sitting on my packed suitcase. I hopped immediately into the car and the first thing I said was, "It's a cult. Let's get out of here." CrossFitter here. We are absolutely a cult. Fish fan also. Huge cult. As a crossfitting fish fan, you shut your goddamn mouth, I'm not in a cult. Ballet. You are basically at their whim. You are expected to pay tuition, costumes, dancewear, dance shoes, travel fees, competition fees, production fees, tickets, and do volunteer work and give up your entire schedule. If you complain at all about anything valid or not, they shun you by not giving your kid a good role or not moving them up a level. And they withhold attention to your child. You literally must schedule all life around ballet. And pay thousands and thousands of dollars so your kid can be in the back. If you quit, all the former dance parents and friends will shun you. Same goes with gymnastics. I had a friend who missed one single day because she was sick and got yelled at for it in front of everyone. She literally practiced on the team every single day. Sec college football. Source: live in the South. I've seen people nearly get into fist fights over this shit. Edit: to all the people who have asked me, nearly I was trying to give people credit but y'all had to fuck that up and tell the truth. LMAO. Only nearly? You're either a new arrival or very lucky. If it's lucky, can you send me some of those vibes? Mega churches. They're money cults. Jehovah's Witnesses. As someone who comes from a family of Jehovah's and has actively practiced this faith in past times, it is 100% a cult. Don't see anywhere where someone said fraternities sororities. Wildly a cult. Was in one. Now I'm mid-30s and it's ridiculous what they make you do and how they make you feel. Especially at such a vulnerable age. I was in one in college, and have cut ties. It was a thing I did in college. I'm 41 and know someone who still posts on Facebook with fraternity related hashtags, and I almost feel a little bad for him. There's the usual answers like religions, tech startups, etc. And then there's the BTS army. Upvoted for her bravery. Literally all of them. There isn't a single cult, including the really scary ones that people make documentaries about, that believes it's a cult. Source: I was raised in the Children of God Family International. We never thought we were in a cult, but we very much were. I read Not Without my sister a few years ago, and now also have a friend whose grandparents are ex-family members. I think about the people and kids who went through that a lot and I hope you're doing alright today. Mommy groups. Along those same lines, military wives. Or any, insert occupation of their husband, wives. Basically anyone that bases their entire identity on either being a mom or the occupation of their husband. The Amish. They control nearly every aspect of their followers' lives and live in incredibly insular society. Sure, they let their kids experience the outside world and choose for themselves through Rumspringa, but they seemingly set them up for failure by throwing them into the deep end with no preparation at a time in their lives. 17-21. When people aren't noted for great decision making. When the kids almost inevitably end up crashing and burning back into the fold. They are forced to remain for the rest of their lives through the threat of shunning, where even your own parents will treat you as if you are dead and invisible. Sure, they look quaint with their beards, buggies, and barns, but if you actually look at them critically, they're as bad as any other cult. They've just been around longer. Edit: whoops, mixed threat and treat. Ethnic Mennonite here, and not that kind with a stick up their ass about the Amish. It's only very few colonies, Amish or Mennonite, that allow Rumspringa. It's not an across the board thing and it's very commercialized. pyramid scams, forever, Herbalife etc. Scientology. Deleted. It's mostly a bunch of confused 9th graders trying to stand out or cope with their strong teenager emotions. It's chuanabayao, https://en.m.wikipedia.org/c5%c5%ab/c5%8d close bracket taken too seriously. I saw the exact same thing take root in Tumblr users in 2015, so it's not anything new. Thankfully, they all quietly grew out of it eventually, so I have a lot of hope that the DID community of this generation can be saved as well. Canon. Who would have thought that boomers who take 4chan trolls too seriously would end up making a cult? Whatever ridiculousness the transformed wife spreads. Should I Google this? I genuinely have no idea. KKK. Reddit, guys. Reddit isn't a cult. It's a collection of cults. Megachurch evangelicals. Some locations of work, especially those who promote the "we're all family here" approach. The Parachute Regiment. When have they ever denied being a cult? Jared Leto and his followers. That MF is fake and has a messiah complex. And his followers, don't get me started on them. The Grateful Dead family. What a wonderful mixed bag of both amazing people and assholes. The Church of Scientology. Some of the illegal shit they've done is so ridiculous. Been wanting to make a video where I just read a list of this bullshit with fun goofy music in the background. You could do the same with the ridiculous things they actually believe. Here's an example. Their founder was a science fiction writer and the only holiday they recognize is his birthday. Edit. The entire religion is also banned from changing any and all articles on Wikipedia because they abuse that feature. Sororities. My wife grew up in a cult that her mother is still part of, a heavily active member. They tell you where to live, how long to live there, who to marry, and how much money you make. They rent abandoned warehouses every few years throughout the country and it is invite only to get in and then they disappear without a trace. One of the ex-members wrote a blog about it like 10 years ago and I'll link it if I can find it. Also, it's just called the Church of Christ. AMA. The Andrew Tate fandom.